What is self-seeking to you, James?
Self-seeking means, I guess, selfish, like for me and not for the other person.
Okay. Give me another example of self-seeking. Nathan, what do you think of self-seeking is? Selfishness. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Russell, self-seeking. Do you think self-seeking is bad or? Yeah. A good question. Good question. You see, James is a thinker. So love is not self-seeking. So what self-seeking? What? Uh-huh. It's not self-seeking. So the question is self-seeking. This word, right? People can translate to selfish, or look after yourself, or soul seeking, that who am I, and with the self-seeking. I think we need to get into the meaning of self-seeking, right? So it's not very simple like a selfish, this word. Okay, so I'll do the where's slideshow here. The next one. Self-seeking, that's self-seeking if you can pronounce this, right? But that's how you pronounce in, I guess, logid is whatever it is, right? So when you put that, there's a logic in there, or logos in there. So the meaning is to reckon, to consider, to count, to think, to impute, right? So I reckon something. I count, I charge, I reason, I decide, I include. Pretty much in the Bible, other usage, you can say, okay, I always counting stuff, right? I calculate everything. There's a decision to make. I'm thinking about me, right? That's a self. Why I'm doing this, right? Why I'm coming to church? Why I need to serve, right? If I involve in a relationship, how can this relationship benefiting me, the wife, right? I marry her or marry this husband. What I get from this relationship, right? Or I have a friend in this among the group. What I get from this, right? So that's really self-seeking, right? So used in New Testament to convey the acting of reasoning, calculating, consider something, is often implied to a thoughtful, deliberate process of evaluating. In theological context, it is frequently used to describe the act of God imputing righteousness in believers, as seen in written of Paul. The term can be referred to human reasoning of acting, taking into account the various factors of decision making. So God is always seeking, looking, counting, right, numbering, right. But this self-seeking has a negative, you know, a meaning of it, because you always calculating. Imagine you be with a friend. Let's say go to a meal together, and at the end we'll pay for the bill. If someone is really, go into the digits and take out the calculators out, it's pretty. Yeah, if all self-seeking person, like three of them, they all take a calculator off. Okay, this time you divide by 3, you pay 33 cents, I pay 34 cents, and the other person pay 33 cents. Next time, it's my turn to pay 34 cents, right? So it's pretty difficult to deal with that kind of person, right? Okay.
Wouldn't the self-seeking person find like someone who's generous and say, "You pay all of
it"? Yeah, I am most likely they will do that, like, right? Instead of finding yeah, right. Yeah. So and all the other things is today in this whole social media world, likes, right? I have a lot of likes. I post a video, I'm looking for how many likes I have, right? How many followers I have. It's in a sense is self-seeking. In serving God, the same thing, right? Do I gotta recognize what I doing? Even in doing good can be self-seeking too, right? So we got to be very careful. So I'll go extreme case on this YouTube video, and then we'll see different examples of what some sisters gathered last night. What is not this YouTube video is, right? This YouTube video is really a son, really self-seeking son, okay? And I'm gonna watch it, okay? So it's a court case, actually.
Now, for the purposes of this court, since you guys share the same last name, I will be referred to you as Mr. Benny, and I will refer to you as Mr. Omar. Is that okay, gentlemen?
His father and son.
Mr. Benny, sir, you show that you're suing your father for $60,000 for emotional distress. Am I reading this correctly?
Yes, Your Honor.
You mind telling the court what happened?
Oh, it's a long story, but pretty much.
I need you to speak up just a little bit, sir.
Oh, it's a long story. Pretty much my father promised me a great reward, for all the great things I've done growing up. And, he always promised me if I did well in the classroom, well in sports, he'll reward me greatly. And, now that the time is here, I'm of age. He's not keeping it.
How old are you now, sir?
I just turned 21 December
21.
Okay.
This happened last year, December 24th.
My birthday and Christmas happened to be, kind of close together. So usually years in the past, I would get a gift for both my birthday and Christmas. But as of recent, we've got a pay raise. And, with that comes greater rewards, as he promised me. And, as for my birthday, 21 is a big deal. And I asked for, a luxury car. Lamborghini.
I'm sorry, you asked for what? A luxury car?
Yeah, luxury car.
For your birthday?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. What type of luxury car are we talking about?
Anything from a Porsche, Lamborghini, Ferrari. I have standards. It's important to have standards in life. And I got a basic electric vehicle. If you can call it that. It's not really a vehicle, I would say. First, you can't hear it. It has no motor, no engine. Two, you have to charge it. If I wanted to charge something, I can usually just charge my phone. And it's just.
If you wanted to charge something, you can just charge your phone.
Yes, Your Honor. I don't see why I have to charge my vehicle.
Okay, I'll stop here. Okay, you can watch a 24-minute video. It's quite interesting court case, right? He got maybe a Tesla or something, a basic chargeable car. All right. So he is an honor student, E1 school basketball captain, and he's saying that driving a Tesla is not right for me. Right. So he's suing his father for $60,000 for emotional damage for not getting a Lamborghini for him. So we see this father and son supposed to have love, right? This is self-seeking for his own pride, for his own interest. There's absolutely no love in the son, right? But at the end, you'll be so touched how father tolerant the son and pat on his shoulder. It's okay, son. When they exit the room, right? It's quite shocking. It happened December 21st, 2024. This video was taken on 24th of December. Go ahead.
Already but yeah, the father seems like he's not self-seeking. But if I were the father, I would never buy the system. Okay.
Yeah. Alrighty. Okay. So obviously not. All right. So and there's an education process. A father allow him to go through a court case, and the judge really, open his eyes and teach as a teachable moment.
So nice of
Okay.
the father.
So we have a couple of sisters. I know the sister have a really fun time last night, and okay. So I just play this. So anyone?
Oh, we're so cute.
Okay. Yeah, no guys allowed, no boys allowed. Okay, so I'll let you guys know what happened yesterday. So yesterday, we had Galentine's, and we met at Anne's house, and she was very not self-seeking by opening up her house for us. The whole night we were there from 4 until like 11:30. So such a long period of time, and Nathan and Tony were helping us. Like they prepared some of the food, they did name tags. It was very cute. And ignore me. And I was not ready for the picture. But everyone was. Okay. Well, everyone was also, giving their time to build up this community and this loving relationship between sisters. Like Virginia and Vicky drove like an hour and a half to come just for the night, just for the event, just to see us and share their lives with us and be with us. And they went back. They drove back again at like 11:30 at night. So it's like they sacrificed a lot of time and they're very busy. They're in school, they're teachers, they have to grade. It's the end of the marking period, all these things. And all the ladies who came brought food. They poured their hearts out to make chicken parmesan. And yeah, not to Eileen, great chicken parmesan. And all the amazing food. I'm sure it spent like hours to prepare. And a lot of the ladies also brought and bought like painting supplies and stuff for us all to enjoy and for us to be able to bond together. And I think it was a great event and shows just how much love it takes to give to one another and not just think about myself, my time. Like, I don't want to spend money, I'll just go. And yeah, that's my sharing. Yes, Eileen, go. How do you do this?
Hold on to it.
Yeah. It was a paint and set. So we had this idea. Anne approached me about this idea in January during our youth retreat of having like a sisters meeting. And then because we have like a bunch of great sisters here, so why shouldn't we meet? And I think I think in our faith, there's a lot of growth in community. And I feel like we all grew up together, but we've never like purely just like hung out together before. Like it's always been like on a basis of reading like a book or a devotional or something. So I think that was like a really fun time to just hang out, and like foster like a community among each other. And I think that was like probably the biggest takeaway for me for this event, was like the sense of community, right? Because personally, I had no idea what was going on until I got there. And like I was sending out like Excel sheets or whatever of like things to bring, and I was like kind of worried because I was like, okay, I know I'm bringing chicken parm, I know JoJo's like bringing this hard pasta, but what else is happening? And had no idea, and just like walked into it blind. And I feel like it showed so much love of like how we cared for this event. And I think this is something that we've all been like missing for a long time, of just like having this time to just like get together and talk about really stupid things or really important things or whatever was coming up in mind, like what's your dream career or like whatever it is, just like stupid conversation. But I think that it's still like, I don't know, it was a really fun time, and we were all very artistic. Yomi specifically, like I would buy that painting. So yeah, I think that was a very love is not selfish kind of meeting, just because I think all of us gave our, if not our effort, our time into making sure that event happened accordingly. And then special shout out to Anne for letting us use her beautiful china. That was awesome. I felt so fancy. It started off with an etiquette class from Anne. And yeah, very cute time. And then I suggest what?
Question. Did you guys finish all the wine?
We did. We did a really great job. 4 bottles.
It was like
No.
Alright.
I think
It's recorded.
it was to a point.
No, I don't need that much.
To a point, we were
we were like, Steve had to come upstairs and be like, guys, it's dinner time. Please tell me it's dinner time. And he tried to steal our sushi, which was very self-serving of Steve. But I highly suggest the males, I've suggested this twice now, but the guys do a Valentine's Day because I think that that would be really cute.
Probably do a golf club or
Okay, I'm done.
We had a bit of a gospel gathering during Chinese New Year, and we brought one gospel friend over, and on our way over, it was a very we met together in New York, and then we kind of came to church on our way back from work, so we had a very long time to kind of just chat along, walking to the train station, taking the train. And she asked me a question. She said, which story in the Bible touches you the most? And then she said, there are lots of thoughts and concepts in the Bible, right? She said, which one is the one that really moves you, that's most meaningful to you? And I thought it was such a big question, right? Because there are so many, there are hundreds of Bible stories, and there are many different concepts. And I was trying, I literally, it was like we were waiting for the train, we were waiting to get on the train. I'm like, I have to think about this. I said, I don't quite know what the answer is. And I thought about it, and as we got onto the train, I said to her, I said, there are lots of things that are very meaningful in the Bible. There's a story of Jesus being tempted in the wilderness. There's the story of, there are so many Old Testament stories about how God loved his people. I said, but the thing that I think is most meaningful to me is love, because there are so many things in the Bible about our sin, about, there are lots of teachings in the Bible, right? You can almost kind of take the divinity aspect out of the Bible and say, this is just a great book in terms of how people, how individuals, how human beings should live. But the one thing that really differentiates Christianity, because she was also, I know she was seeking in terms of kind of just finding the meaning in life. So Christianity and church is not the only thing that she was visiting. She's very much in a seeking mode. I said, I think the thing that really differentiates Christianity and the Bible from at least the other religions that I'm aware of is just God's unconditional love. Because the Bible talks about so many things that we've done wrong. It talks about so many rebellion. If you read the Old Testament, it's like this continuous circular motion of God's love, God's forgiveness, human rebellion, Israelites doing something wrong, going back to God, God loving them again, them doing things again. It's just kind of a circular loop of human making mistakes and God forgiving us over and over again and loving us over and over again. And I said to her at the time, I said, I think it is really that unconditional love from God that is most meaningful to me. And I also think it is the one thing that is so hard that without him, we are unable to do that. There are lots of things that we can do, right? We can be righteous. We can, we were talking about last night about should government help poor people? Should we help people in other countries, right? There are lots of things we can do. There are lots of things that are within our power to do. But loving people unconditionally, loving sinners unconditionally, loving people when they make mistakes, right? I think I love my kids unconditionally, but you can, Nathan can tell you, when they do something that really pisses off me and Steve, we really do blow up. Right? So even for our kids, which are the most precious things in our life, it's very hard to say that love is unconditional and that we don't seek the the title here about like not being self-seeking. Nathan knows. Like Nathan said the other day, Nathan's like, Mom, is this school like acceptable for me to go to for college? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, so this goes on to like mommy can brag about me list. It's like this one fits the criteria that mommy can brag, right? So we are self-seeking. Even in our love for our kids, we're self-seeking. Like, why do I get mad at certain times, like when they do something? Part of it is because it makes us look bad, right? It makes us look bad as parents. It makes us look. It just like it's very hard to love just out of seeking nothing back, and that is not thinking about yourself at all, right? Not thinking about yourself at all. So I think when we talk about self-seeking love or not self-seeking love, we really do have to go back to God, because He is the only source of unconditional and non-self-seeking love. We're studying Ruth and Esther during Friday Bible study, and I think for those who are in my group, I think I have shared, and it's just kind of a particular point of view, right? Not to say that it's the truth. I would say, like, out of the book of Ruth, like, the individuals are so not impressive, right? But what is impressive is God. What is impressive is that out of helpless and just like totally messed up situations, you see God's hand taking care of His people. You also see God's hand just kind of forming and molding history in a way that is His will. And a lot of times I think we really just have to take ourselves and take people out of these situations and just look to God, because there are definitely times when, you know, you look at a particular situation, you're just like very critical of the individuals that are in it. But if you take all of that out and you just say our eyesight should really be constantly on God in all situations, then I think we see His love. And, you know, it really does, I think, have an impact on us in terms of how we act, how we think, how we look at other people, how we think of ourselves. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to share, which is it was really lovely to have all the people over at our house. Like I know it was a lovely testimony, and like people are so gracious in terms of saying that it was non-self-seeking love. But I think I personally got a lot out of it. Like I had great joy in hosting and in like playing with all the plates and glasses. I had a great time. So and I think it's you know it is, the fellowship is different. Like the age group spans wide, right? Like I was listening to some of you guys last night, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm like twice your age. I'm like literally twice your age. But we don't feel that, right? Like we don't feel like there are generational gaps that we couldn't communicate, we couldn't have fellowship. It was just a great time because it is God who bonds us. Otherwise, I think if we're just people from the world who got to know each other, it would be very difficult for people who come from so many different walks of life, who are at so many different stages in life, to actually have a fellowship like that. So I really do think, you know, we prayed at the beginning that the Holy Spirit is with us, and the Holy Spirit be with us as we have fellowship. And I think it was, you definitely, I certainly definitely felt that yesterday.
Thank you.
Hi guys. I think like overall the event was very fun. Oh, the event was very fun last night. I think I got to learn a lot more about like other people and all the sisters in the church, because I don't think I've always had much time to interact with everybody. And I was worried about the food initially too, as Eileen had like put an Excel sheet, and then like people were supposed to put food they wanted to bring, but it was kind of empty. So I was like worried, but I'm so glad everything like came together, and like everybody was very welcoming and loving, and just like it was a very cute event. And during that experience, like I could see like God working through all of us, all in different ways. And I think that really brought us together, and it provided like a really nice, heartwarming feeling of community. And I think we should maybe do this like semi-annually or something. Just proposing it out there. But yeah, it was nice. We learned a lot, and I haven't seen like Hannah, Vicky, and Virginia in quite some time, because you guys all are far away. So it was really nice to be able to bond. Ah, yes.
How's the work? It's getting better?
Yeah. It's just a busy season time. Yeah. And then Raina and I bonded about that in the car, about how I can't take off for some reason. But yeah, thank you guys. It was a lovely event.
Huh? Brother's like, okay, more like
My brother works so hard. Really nice. Only one server.
took 2 pictures. So, that's good.
Very good.
All right. So Uncle Harry mentioned Uncle Leo, Uncle Peter earlier. Uncle Peter, when we were younger, always do those husband and wife sharing as well. And every time after the Auntie Linda, Uncle Peter's wife share that we don't want to listen to Uncle Peter share. I guess I feel that's the same way too. Like after and spoke that nobody don't listen to me. But well, since we still have 30 minutes, I need to fulfill my part. All right. So this is just continuation from the. So this is the continuation from what we have been doing for the last few weeks. And today we're going to go over this love is not self-seeking, as we already discussed. So before we focus on this specific topic, we just want to give the a little bit introduction of the background of why Paul wrote this chapter, or why Paul wrote this book, right? So the book of 1 Corinthians was written by Paul to the people of the church in Corinth in 54 AD. So 54, so it's been 20 plus years after Jesus was crucified. And Paul was on a mission to Ephesus when he received a word that the church in Corinth was in a conflict, was in chaos. The Corinth means one of the first church he planted, and it has experienced a lot of problems, right? Among them, sexual immorality, disunity, and false teaching. And in chapter 12, we learned that the Corinthians have been fighting and debating about the gifts. What gift is the most important spiritual gift of them all? And then we go to chapter 13, right? And in chapter 13, if we can read those couple verses, so from verse 4 to 8, 4 or 5 verses only. Chapter 13. Yep.
Which one?
From verse 4 to the first part of verse 8. Very short. If brothers and sisters, we can read all these 5 verses. All right. So, love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It's not arrogant. For rude, it does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrong, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things. Love never ends. All right. All right. I'll take off the shirt. Just like Rob says, it's getting hot. And plus, I ordered this shirt specifically for the for what was I going to what was I was going to share last time. Boast.
Love does not boast.
Oh. My wife was asking why do I buy this shirt. Okay. This is one of the only occasions I can wear. I imagine I wear this to the teachers conference. But so Paul's purpose, once again, Paul's purpose to writing this letter is just to address each individual problems what happened in the church of Corinth, right? So as you can see, he clearly articulate in the first 3 verses. He wants to help the church to realize that above all else, they should prioritize loving God and love people above everything else. And interestingly, most translations translate to love is not self-seeking. It is, or love is not selfish. It's quite self-explanatory. But I love the translation of a couple different versions. One translation says, love does not insist or love does not demand its own way. And love does not seek its own benefit. Right? So one of the problems or one of the chaos that Corinth church was experiencing at the time was it has a lot of dispute on the leadership, right? On the who is the leader or who was the leader of the church. A lot of divisions among multiple leaders, a lot of misteaching, a lot of not biblical teachings. So when I read this translation, love does not insist or does not demand its own way. It's actually quite reflecting to what we've been experienced, right? I mean, some of us were here when things happened in this church 2-3 years ago. If you were not here, then you can ask people who would experience that. But when we had that experience, it leads to me, I mean, it leads me thinking, what is love does not demand its own way? And there were 2 things in the Bible, or there were 2 things in our life that Ann and I talk all the time, is self-righteous versus God's righteous, right? So what is self-righteous? The definition of self-righteous is self-righteous is based on a person's own efforts, while God's righteous is the gift from God. And self-righteous can make a person look good on the outside, but damage them on the inside. While God's righteous is a gift from God and can bring peace and transform a person. And what calls self-righteous, right? What is self-interest and what calls self-righteous? And there are three main points. The first one is usually stem from insecurity or the sense of inferiority. But we feel like we are not good enough. We want to be better. We want to be better than others. And it's focused on one person's own efforts and goodness and work. And it can be self-centered, prideful, and self-praised, and leads to judgments and disputations behaviors. Right? So ask yourself, are we self-righteous? And versus God's righteousness, what is God's righteousness? I mean, compared to the 3 points I just mentioned, what do brothers and sisters think God's righteous are? So first of all, so the self-righteous comes from the sense of insecurity. What is God's righteous? Any brothers and sisters want to give it a try? Right? God's righteous, instead of insecurity, it is a gift from God Himself. Right? It is not us, our hearts. And secondly, our self-righteous is focused on our own efforts, our own goodness, our own work. What is God's righteousness? Harry, what's God's righteousness versus self-righteousness? Yeah.
Unmerited.
It is.
Versus earned merit.
That's right. Yep. Absolutely. So it is received by faith, right? We receive these gifts by faith, not because of what we do. And thirdly, self-righteous is self-centered and prideful. And what is God's righteous? So self-righteous will bring the worst out of people. But God righteous, instead of bringing the worst out, it can be a transforming experience. And remember, Brother Clement Chen mentioned last week about washing other people's feet, right? That his experience in Naples, that how to go around and wash people's feet, and the tradition being like feet were really dirty, were like the dirtiest part of your body, and you go around and you show your humbleness by bow down before them and wash their feet, right? So and also Nathan asked a question. It's like, how do we preach to other people, to other non-believers? And Clement also responded, not instead of we preach to others, we preach for other people. I mean, instead of we preach to others, we pray for other people instead, right? So instead of you are a superior, like you want to show other people that you are who you are, you pray for God's power to help them, or to demonstrate that it is not you, but God will do the work. So just want to conclude with the story I heard when I was younger. Is the story of long chopsticks, right? So when a person died and he goes before, it's from Catholic. So when he goes before St. Peter's and St. Peter says, okay, if you want to go to hell or if you want to go to heaven. So Apostle Peter says, okay, and then Apostle Peter says, okay, you can choose either one. You can choose hell or you can choose heaven, but you receive the same thing. So they give them a pair of long chopsticks. So the person goes to the hell, and everybody is trying to, and with it, so there's a big feast. There's a lot of food like what we had last time. There's a big feast on the table, and everybody is trying to eat for themselves with the long chopsticks. And as Chinese people know, like if you leave with the long chopsticks and feed, like what do? Like, because there are so many people next to you. That's right. So you won't be able to bring the food into your mouth, right? So everybody was starving, everybody was upsetting. So, and in heaven, everybody also have a pair of long chopsticks. But instead of they feed themselves, they use a long chopstick to feed each other. So everybody had food, everybody was fulfilled. So that is that's pretty much what is not self-seeking about, right? Is you come, you don't serve yourself, instead of you serve others. I guess that's what we have to share this morning. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a discussion questions, and we have, actually, Stephen.